one of the co-owners here, right? When Michelle came to see me, and I taught her about meditation and a lot of other things. We were sitting there together, and she sort of said to me, you know, you should put all this stuff you're saying to me in a book. And I said to her at the time, that's a good idea, but it's a lot of work. I think she actually laid the first seed when she said that, because many years later, like around about 2013, I went to, you know, the You Can Do It festival in the city at Darling Harbour. And I just very innocently, as people do, just, you know, some competition, put my name down, put my card in. I can't even remember what it was. It was something to do with some book thing that you could win. Anyway, the next thing, I get this phone call from Hay House. And they say, do you want to write a book? Well, when they say that to you, what do you say? It's like, deep breath, yeah, okay. Of course I do. I had no idea that I wanted to write a book, but I'd been writing for Wellbeing magazine for about, I don't know, I've been probably writing for them about, I'd say 7 years at least. So if you go into wellbeing.com.au, you'll see there's like 1,000 articles or something, I don't know how many, on all sorts of different things, right? And my own background is, many years ago I started learning meditation with two spiritual teachers, Indian Swamis. You will see this, right? I'm a practicing Catholic. After all my studies in university, my masters in Buddhism, Hinduism, Hinduism for many, many years, learning Sanskrit, teaching Advaita Vedanta, which is basically the concept that everything is one, which is the philosophical side of Hinduism. There was just this thing inside of me that said, well, when I was 5 years old, I used to wrap myself up in my mother's dressing gown and say, I want to be a nun. Okay. And you know how you have that seed inside of you for something, and it just, every now and then, it just sort of nags. Well, it kept nagging. So one day I walked into the church and I said, okay, what do I have to do this? So I converted to Catholicism, and you know what? As soon as I did that, the whole thing about wanting to be a nun, everything just disappeared. It's like, you've come home, stop. So I've studied over the years meditation, different religions, cultures, and then when I fell pregnant with my son Simon, I was not the person to be at home changing nappies. It was just too much. It was driving me nuts. I thought, okay, I've got to learn something. So it was back in the 1980s, and I was always interested in natural health. My mother, she used to read these books, Louise Hayes, and then like, who's that? Who's that? You know, back then, we're talking the 1970s. So I was a 70s child, right? So Mum was reading all these books, and you know, let's do a juice fast back then, you know, or acupuncture. I remember when the first acupuncture first came in the 1970s, I went and I used to get migraines. I was about 17 years old, and I thought, I've got to get rid of these migraines. So I went down near Paddington Markets, which was the in thing back then, right? There was this acupuncturist, and he put this thing in my ear, and touch wood, I haven't had a migraine since. Gone, okay? So that's what kind of started me, and my mother was into a lot of stuff like reading cards, and so it's in the family, kind of. So I started by studying, apart from the stuff I did in uni, on the side I started studying courses like naturopathy, nutrition, and then you tend to build. If you're interested in a subject, you find you tend to build. So from there, I went into doing aromatherapy, some stuff on herbs, hypnotherapy, counselling, Reiki, theta healing. Have I left anything out, somebody? I kind of lose track. So when somebody comes to see me for a session, what I do is I say, right, you allow me an hour, because it's none of this out the door, like, you know, 10 minutes, doctor, okay, that's it. I'm quite pedantic, and I like to sort of talk to people and say, okay, where are you at? What's worked? What hasn't worked? Why? show me your blood test. And I need to emphasise, just because I'm a natural therapist, I'm very much for, you need your x-rays, you need your specialist sometimes, you need your blood tests, right? Let's not just throw that out the window. You need your technology. Who knows, down the track with technology, they're getting all these artificial limbs and everything now. Why should we throw this out the window? You know? And it was actually my son that said that. He said, do you really think, and he was only young at the time, he was like a teenager, and he said to me, do you really think that God would give people all this knowledge about all this other stuff if he didn't want them to use it? Good point. Very